everyone. Thank you for joining me live. Thank you, David. Thank you for everyone else who's joining me live. And thank you, everyone who will be joining me on the replay as well. This is going to be a, a video that I'm going to share something that I'm quite at the moment living it myself. So I'm going to share this video through an emotional signature that's really an embodiment of what I'm going to be sharing. But before we actually dive into anything, if it's the first time that we're meeting, hi, my name is Isabel Martins from healthandnaturallife.com, and I work with energy healing and animal communication, with awareness, consciousness, technologies, anything that help us get to know who we truly are, our abilities, how we interact, function in the world, and how we create, interact, and influence our reality. So this series is all about energy tools for us to be living in a new world. But this particular video, it's not necessarily an energy tool, it's a life skill that we were never taught, and that is probably one of the most important life skills for us to actually start mastering, especially in these times that we're living now. And the title of this video is Stop Trying to Feel Better, Get Better at Feeling. And this is a quote from Michael Brown. He's the author of the Presence Process and Alchemy of the Heart. And it's a quote that's been on my mind a lot lately. And I've started challenge, an experiment, we might call it that Michael Brown makes available on his website. I'll link it below in the description box. And it's a series of audios on a page that he has. You don't have to sign up for anything if you're interested, it's just listen to it. And it's an experiment that we make ourselves for 40 days around 5 to 10 subjects that we have a charge on, or something that makes us feel uncomfortable, that makes us feel scared, that has a charge, an emotional charge for us. And for 15 minutes each day, we just trigger that subject and we just stay with whatever comes up emotionally, whatever sensations come up in our body, without trying to do anything. And this, I've been in this for, I think, 3 weeks now, 3, almost 4. So I've been noticing how powerful it is to actually just be in presence, be in awareness with whatever comes up inside of our bodies. And if you've been around my channel for a while, you know that I have lots of tools for us to actually be able to deal with emotions, to not be overwhelmed with emotions, to help clear energy. And I think those are very important, especially when the emotions are so strong that we feel that we can be overwhelmed by them and just buy into the story, become completely immersed in the emotional signature, and there's no awareness there that can help us actually stay present with what's happening. So we almost merge with the emotional response and take off running with the story. There's no one home, let's put it like that, to be able to hold presence with the sensations and emotions that come up. This in particular is something that we can do, this that I was sharing, this stop trying to feel better and get better at feeling, is something that we are very aware of, very, very capable of doing when we are not in that completely immersed and merged state. So when we're already feeling, okay, this is really uncomfortable, but I'm still here. I'm not off and running in the story. I'm not off and running in the emotional signature. I'm aware that I'm feeling this way. This is when this will be very important as a life skill mastery for us. And life skill that leads to mastery of life as well. And together with this, there was another video that I'll also link below that just sparked a deeper, very deep embodied understanding of why this is important, to just be with the sensations, learn to be better at feeling instead of trying to fix or avoid or distract in order for us to feel better. And this was Dr. Joan Rosenberg's video on the gifts of uncomfortable or unpleasant emotions. Excuse me. In this video, she shares a framework that she shares with her clients. She's a psychotherapist or a psychologist, not sure. And she just guides them through. First, it's a choice that we make when an emotional response comes up. We can either avoid it, try to fix it, try to distract ourselves from it, or we can stay present, stay aware while the emotions are coming through. Then she just goes into, okay, there are particular emotions that we try to avoid feeling, and those are the ones that are important for us to actually notice how they feel for us and start heading that direction, because everything that we do in life is, well, I can say everything, but a lot of the things that we do in life are a response, not a response, a reaction to our internal feelings. So if we see something outside that we want, we try to get it because of an internal feeling of a desire, a craving for something. If we see something happening outside that scares us, we try to avoid it. If we see someone that we don't like, we run the other way, even if the person doesn't have anything to do with it. It's just a person. Why would we have to avoid them or try to walk on tiptoes around them in order for something not to happen and us not to feel a certain way? We need to become aware that our emotional reactions and us trying to avoid them, trying to fix them, trying to run away from them is running our lives. So we don't have freedom. We are pretty much at the mercy of our internal sensations and our either pursuit of them, the good ones, or our avoidance of them, the bad ones. What Dr. Joan shared as well that really sank in is that whenever we feel an emotional response, in my words, it's a thought that got activated that then starts creating the emotional response that we have locked sometime in our past, and then our brain triggers the release of certain chemicals that flow through our bodies that create certain physical sensations, bodily sensations that then reflect that emotional pattern. And we also have tension holding patterns that are correspondent to that thought. So every time a thought gets triggered that we have an emotional charge on, so that we haven't digested that thought, we haven't digested the emotions that happened in the past connected to that thought, it triggers that same pattern, chemical pattern and holding pattern, and we feel it as bodily sensations, as physical, unpleasant, uncomfortable sensations. And it is those sensations that we try to avoid. We don't want to feel them. We want to run away from them. Because if you think about it, what is anger? It's just an internal set of physical sensations and chemical reactions that you feel and are aware of that you're angry because of those physical sensations. What is fear? It's the same thing. What is shame, embarrassment? Exactly the same thing. A feeling of helplessness has a certain chemical signature that we feel as bodily sensations as well. And we don't really have problems, and this is her premise, and I fully agree that Dr. Joan's premise, that we don't want to condition our range of feeling. We want to feel everything. We just don't want to feel the bodily sensations that are associated with that emotion. So yeah, it doesn't really make that much sense if we think about it, but it is true. We want to experience the entire range of emotions. We just don't want to feel the uncomfortable bodily sensations that are associated with them. And this clicked for me. In the past, well, coming from OCD, my mind has run me all over the place with fears, with anxieties, with things, obsessions of things that I wanted to avoid feeling, that I wanted to avoid experiencing, because precisely of those really uncomfortable feelings in my body. And that started, the not wanting to feel them started to compound. I'm pushing this away, I'm pushing this, creating more and more holding patterns, more and more holding, constricting thoughts that just created a very static, almost rigid state of my nervous system, and anything and everything that would hit me when your nervous system is like this, something that just does this, it's a big hit. When your nervous system is freer and you don't have that type of rigidity against feeling a certain way or trying to need to feel this way, your nervous system becomes much more resilient. And something that does this, it just goes, okay, well, I can acclimate to that and come back to a state of flow and balance. So the life skill that will help us stop trying to feel better and get better at feeling is actually to notice in ourselves, in our bodies, what are the emotions that we are trying to avoid feeling. For instance, helplessness at this point in time is probably a big one. Fear is another one. The insecurity of, and I'm going to say, money situation, fires, home, physical security. These are things that are very much in the open, in the air now for many, many, many people around the world. And these are sensations that we try to avoid feeling like the freaking plague. We don't want to feel helpless. We don't want to feel powerless because not of the circumstances, but because of us in the past, as babies, as toddlers, having felt that powerlessness, and we didn't have the mature nervous system that could actually process and allow those uncomfortable sensations to move through us. So we locked it. We locked the sensation, we pushed it away, we labeled it as bad. I don't ever want to feel this again. And it's because of that life circumstances that trigger a similar mental signature of helplessness make us feel this original emotional signature as well, and we push against it because, well, there are a lot of layers there already over our lifetime of having felt that way and not wanting to, going back, reinforcing the original pushing away pattern of nope, don't want to deal with this, no, can't deal with this, no, I can't feel this, otherwise I'll be overwhelmed, otherwise it will kill me. And it might have been a true assessment for a toddler that a very strong emotion could have caused a breakdown of the nervous system, but as adults now, it's not the same thing. So we are able to start feeling those things that we have run away from. So this is the life skill, is to get better at feeling. I want to share that there are certain pitfalls that happen in us actually doing this and living in this way of just, okay, I'm feeling a certain way, let me just notice what are the sensations, and can I just be with the sensations? Yeah, I certainly can. They are uncomfortable, but I know that as I allow myself to just relax and let the energy move, the chemicals will flush out. And Dr. Joan quoted a study that's around 90 seconds for the chemical rush to just flood through and out of our body sensations. And the physical sensations themselves, when we don't push against them, when we don't lock the energy down, the body naturally starts to release them. So it's like a biofeedback effect that happens when we become aware, oh, something is tight. The body starts to, okay, this is tight. Let's start releasing the tension there, so long as we are relaxed and we're not trying to push anything down. What gets us into trouble is that we associate our internal sensations. When something gets triggered inside of us, we immediately start associating meanings with it. So I'm feeling, for instance, a contraction in my chest. I'm scared about something. What happened? We start scanning something outside or our thoughts and see, okay, I'm feeling this because of that, or I'm feeling scared because of this thought that the economy is crashing. There's a good one for everyone. I'm feeling scared. I need to do something about it. So there's a double fallacy here. First is that our internal sensations are because of something outside of us. That something outside, or even a thought, might have triggered the physical sensations, the emotional response, but it's not it's more of a correlation rather than it's because of this that I'm feeling that. So it's not causal. Whatever is happening outside, you have a certain reaction, but a person right next to you might have a completely different reaction. So it's not inherent to the situation, the feeling that you are experiencing. The feeling that you are experiencing is just something that got triggered from your past that wasn't integrated, and that the situation itself feels familiar enough to bring that pattern to the surface. So whenever we have these emotional responses triggered within us, it's a good idea to start backing up instead of assuming immediately, I'm feeling this way because of that, which means I will have to do something about it. And this is the second part of the fallacy. We have to do something about it. We have to fix something outside. We have to avoid something. We have to prepare for something. No, what's happening, and this no is a conditional no. So it's a don't do anything from that point if you can. And first, just stay with the emotional sensations, stay with the feelings, stay with the sensations. Let that past hurt, that past fear, that past anger move through you so it can just release its energy, and you're not responding to whatever the situation is from a 5-year-old level of development or a 6-year-old level of development. If you allow the energy to just move through you, the sensations, if you sit through the discomfort for a few minutes, sometimes more if there's a lot of waves coming through, if you just sit through it and just allow yourself to be open inside with the discomfort, with the sensations, not resisting them, not applying force against anything, not trying to change them, just noticing like, okay, this is just a sensation, I can feel this, it's not gonna kill me. Okay, it's really uncomfortable, but I can do it. So you just, inside, it's almost like if you were like this, pushing against something before, inside you do this. Like, okay, I'm going to just open. As best I can describe it. So you just open inside to whatever the sensations are. And this already requires that you are aware of what's happening. Hence, that disengaging from the story and understanding that what happens inside of you, it's not because of what's happening outside. That was just something that felt familiar enough to trigger the old hurt from the past that you weren't able to process. And again, if we respond or react or try to fix or try to do something from that emotional signature, we will be responding, reacting, living our lives from the 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old level of consciousness of ourselves, level of development, level of maturity. And that's just a fraction of what we actually are able to bring to the situation. So there is a point for action. There is a time for us to do something about it, but it's not from the emotional reaction. It's from when things start to calm down, your energy starts to expand. So the emotional reaction does this, contracts you. When you let it flow through, it starts to allow again your energy to expand, and you have access to more and more of your broader selves, knowing, understanding, guidance, perspective on what's happening. And it's when you get the intuition, the inner guidance, the step-by-step to, okay, this is my next step here. Perfect. That's when we move through it. So our inner sensations, we take them as cues to do something about, or to fix, or to try to soothe, where I would suggest that we start taking them as cues to, oh, okay, be with what's happening. Something got triggered. A part of my 5, 6, 7-year-old just came to the surface and is asking for my attention now. It's asking for integration. It's just asking to be seen, to be accepted, to be felt, to be allowed through, so that the energy and the gifts actually that come with that energy that we had locked, who knows how long ago, the gifts that are in that life force start coming back and integrating, and we become more whole human beings. Besides actually expanding, we ourselves become more vibrant, more vital, more radiant. And there's another thing that I wanted to also share, is that this is we are suspicious of just being with our emotions, and I'm speaking from experience, obviously. It's like, I'm feeling this, I need to do something about this. Okay, yeah, I understand it better now. But besides that, there's also the working on my feelings won't fix anything outside. And I know that if you're here and if you're watching these kinds of videos, you know better rationally, you understand that our reality is created from the inside out. So we talked about this in the last video, about our spherical reality and the filters that we have and that we put on pretty much the infinite field of potentials. It's our emotions, it's our thoughts that act as the filters that choose from and light up from the infinite field of infinite potentials what it is that we are experiencing. So we have a lot of filters that are locked from our childhood, and those filters are always active, even if we are not aware of them. So anytime that something happens on the outside world, or in your mind even, that triggers an emotional response, it's a gift of an old pattern, an old filter just being put right here in front of you, so you can see it, you can feel it, and you can allow it to be cleansed. You can allow that energy to just move through you, and that filter starts becoming like just pure, clear crystal. There's no tainting in it, and it starts bringing into your experience something that's much more true to your core, to your aligned experience of the world. So you start bringing up, lighting up, manifesting, bringing to you experiences, scenarios, circumstances, people from the infinite field of everything that's possible in this magical reality of ours. You start bringing forth and lighting up and experiencing things that are much more transparent, much more aligned with your truth, with who you are, and with everything that you want. Let's just put it like that. So it's easy. It's easy to if we accept that as being true, of course, it's easy to understand that the more that we pay attention to our internal sensations and allow these emotional signatures and this discomfort to move through us, the more that we are clearing those old filters around us, the better in all lives, in all aspects, our life will become. And this is something that we have to keep reminding ourselves of, because it's so against the way that we are taught in our societies, that there's something outside happening, we need to do something about it, we need to fix it. I'm feeling this way, I need to medicate it, I need to avoid it, I need to go run, I need to soothe myself. And that's something that I wanted to cover here as well. There's like I mentioned in the beginning, there's a time and a place for everything, of course. And when you are feeling overwhelmed, do whatever works for you to come back to a greater place of balance, so that you can actually have a grasp on something, that you can actually have the awareness to go to the core of the situation. But when you feel that, okay, I am aware that this is happening inside of me, at that point you have the gift of being able to stay with the uncomfortable bodily sensations. And let me give you a parallel analogy that I heard from Michael from Inspire Nation as he was talking to Dr. Joan Rosenberg, that I thought makes a lot of sense. And it's this, and still on the just be with the sensation instead of trying to fix or soothe or avoid them. When we go for massage, so for instance, trigger point massage, the massage therapist might find, for instance, a muscle here that's tight, and they might just apply a little bit of pressure on the muscle and just ask you to just put your awareness there on that spot that feels really tight. And without really doing anything else, your body starts to release the tension from that spot. because of the biofeedback that got activated. So it's almost like your body is used to this holding pattern of tension because of the mental patterns and because of the emotional response of avoidance or attachment. And the muscular tension is normal at this point for your body. When you point to it and just bring your awareness there, relaxed, your body just goes, oh, okay, you want to do something about this. Let's bring this back to normal. And it starts releasing the tension. It's the same thing that happens with our emotional body. We are feeling a certain way, and we know that we are feeling that way because of the bodily sensations. And as we open inside and just bring awareness to the sensations themselves and to the energy, the body, the emotional body, starts to self-regulate, triggers the biofeedback, and starts to move the energy again. Instead of it being locked down, it starts to move through and out, as well as the physical sensations, because they were caused by the emotional response. And I feel that if this is a natural response for the physical body and for the emotional body, this is a property of all of our bodies in any dimension. So the mental body will respond the exact same way. When we put our attention maybe in a thought, but a thought, we can't feel a thought. We feel the emotional response of the thought that then we feel as physical sensations. So for us to actually start unwinding the knots of our mental body, it's through our physical body. And the physical sensations, the uncomfortable sensations that we're feeling are our access point for the emotional response. That is the access point to the mental pattern that's causing all of this. So when we allow ourselves to just not avoid feeling the discomfort, open up inside and just let things move through, we start releasing on the physical level, on the emotional level, on the mental level. And it's almost like our mental and emotional bodies have their own kinks and knots in their muscles, and those kinks and knots start releasing from the mental muscle, from the emotional muscle, from the physical muscle, and we start to have full range of movement in all of our bodies. And you can imagine, if you have a cramp in a leg, how much that limits what you can do and how you feel actually in the moment. It's the same that happens with our emotional and mental bodies. So as you start releasing, not deliberately, but as you bring your awareness and your body starts releasing, we're not doing anything, it's the body starts releasing the tension, you start relaxing, your leg has full range of movement again, and you can do whatever you want. It's the same thing. Your emotional body starts having full range of motion again and can just accommodate and feel and just live fully. Your mental body becomes much more resilient, much more flexible, much more open to actually be able to hold higher perspectives of things from your higher dimensions of self, and you start living and embodying all of that expansiveness and full range of motion in all of your being, and it creates well, you can imagine, a very free, satisfying, fulfilling life. So my suggestion, and in closing, would be for us to be aware of our avoidance mechanisms, and these can be obvious, and the obvious ones would be the ones that you're aware of. I'm feeling uncomfortable, I'm feeling bored, I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling helpless, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling angry. Let me go eat something. Let me go check a video on YouTube. Let me go check social media. Let me go check my phone. Let me go for a walk. Let me go clean. Wouldn't that be a nice one? Let me go talk with someone. Those would be the more obvious ones, but there are less obvious ones that can really be automatic, and if we don't catch them, we're still in fixing or soothing or trying to avoid mode. And these are the trying to figure out, for instance, where is this coming from? What is this that I'm feeling? What created this? What is it outside? So the mental trying to understand things, it's still a soothing or an avoidance to try to not feel that way. Move out of the sensations because they are uncomfortable into the head where we're trying to figure things out, and in the meantime trying to make ourselves feel better and ignoring the gift that's being given to us of releasing the tension from that physical, mental, emotional muscle. That's one. Another one is self-soothing, really. It's something as simple and as sweet, and my mind does this to me a lot, and I'm just aware of it now. It's okay. It will pass. It won't be that long, or that thing that you were thinking that's making you feel this way, it's not likely to happen. So it's a loving, soothing thing, but it's still an avoidance of actually fully being with whatever is happening. So any type of mental soothing, trying to fix, trying to understand, trying to anything is still an avoidance of fully being present with what it is that we're feeling. And although the energy might still move as we are in our minds, it will not resolve. So there will still be something that will stay there, because it will just let the energy move until we start feeling comfortable, somewhat comfortable again, and then the rest will just go back into hiding. It's when we start being fully present, fully with this is really feeling uncomfortable, I'm staying with it. And sometimes it's useful to say this. I need to remind myself, okay, I'm staying with you. I'm staying with you. Just being present with the sensations, open inside, just again, instead of this open, just letting it happen, just knowing these are just bodily sensations, and this is what I'm trying to avoid, or I'm trying to run away from, or I'm trying to soothe. It's okay. I'm an adult now. I'm a grown woman. You're a grown man, maybe. Whoever you're listening to this, and I can handle this. So let me just be here with these sensations, and we will feel it's almost like something is being pulled and moves through us. And it might just be one wave of many more waves that will need to come to the surface, but will be more integrous, more whole, more healthy, more resilient, more clear, more intuitive, more insightful because of that. So it's a gift that we can give to ourselves. And yeah, I was saying in the beginning that this is something that I'm experiencing now because, well, I just heard from my mechanic. I had a repair that I knew that my car needed, but I was expecting a certain amount of money. That would be the amount for the repair. And I was already thinking, this is going to be a lot more than I was expecting. And in the past, I've had almost like trauma responses of sadness, of I'm doing something wrong, or I've done something wrong. I love my mechanic and I really appreciate the work that he does. So it's not about that. I already knew that it was something trauma inside of me that was related to money, and thinking that I was doing something wrong, or feeling that I couldn't then bring the money back into my life or something like that. So there was a lot of that already going on in the past that I already cleared. But this morning as I woke up, I felt just sadness. And my mind was starting, what is this for? What is this from? What is it? Because I caught myself and I was, okay, no, let me just feel the sensation itself. Okay, what does this feel like? And I'm going to invite you to think as well, what is something that you try to avoid feeling? Might be helplessness, might be fear, might be sadness, might be betrayal. What do you avoid feeling or try to run away from, move away from feeling? Boredom is another one. I really don't like boredom. Just bring that to your mind and notice, what are the bodily sensations that get triggered with that emotional response, with that emotion? For me, I was feeling the sadness, so it felt almost like a contraction behind my back, in the liver area. It just felt like a pulling in, like a sinking type of feeling. And usually, and I was doing it as I was waking up, I would tighten around it to try to just open up the energy. Not consciously, it's not a deliberate thing, but I would try to avoid feeling that way. So almost close the plug and not allow the energy to drain or to feel that it's sinking down. And I noticed, oh, okay, I'm trying to contract. Open inside, don't apply force to anything. I'm going to suggest you do the same thing. Open inside, don't apply force to anything. Just relax and just notice the sensations themselves. And I started to feel the almost, it felt like this, like a spiraling of energy starting to go down into sadness. And it started to feel like a very young 4 or 5-year-old type of innocent sadness. Now it's just being, even calling it sadness is already being a little bit in the mind, but for me to explain to you, it's easier. But yeah, just being with the sensations, I was just feeling it. And after a while, it incorporated. It just, on its own, moved. That's as best as I can put it. There are some things that you'll feel like a big release. There are some things that will feel like it just dissolves. And okay, if you're not feeling it, go about your day doing anything else. And by the way, this is something else. We can, if we want, choose specific times of the day to process these things, like the 15 minutes a day that Michael Brown suggests, for instance, for the specific topics that we have a charge on. But this is something as well that you can be aware on the go. I've played with this week especially, went outside and okay, I'm just going to be present. That was my challenge for myself. And let's just see what uncomfortable sensations come up as I'm moving through people walking outside. Just decided to do that. And yeah, it was a really enlightening and interesting experience. So we don't have to be sitting down and fully focused in order for us to just open inside and just be with the physical, bodily, uncomfortable, unpleasant sensations. We can be aware inside and still do what it is that we're doing. It's just easier, at least in the beginning, to be just sitting, give our full attention to awareness to what's happening. And yeah, I think that's what I wanted to share. Just bring to your mind, and this is an invitation for emotional mastery, mental mastery, physical mastery, mastery of your life, so that you don't get swayed and don't react to life and don't live your life based on reactions to avoid feeling a certain way or to try to always feel a certain way. And you just let that energy move through you and become free, clear, open. You can live your life. You can do whatever it is that you want. You can talk to the people that you didn't talk before because you were afraid of feeling embarrassed. You can go to that person that you so like, ask them out. You won't fear rejection. You can go for the career that you want. You won't fear that then you'll be disappointed and you'll feel that you're a failure. You'll know that everything that comes up inside of you is just the sensations, and you can master, and you not master, you can feel the sensation. So you feel the mastery, you feel the confidence that comes from that. It becomes like a I can navigate life type of feeling. So it's a very empowering state to be, and it comes from a life skill that we would all benefit from practicing now, and that if we teach kids from early on, in one generation everything is very, 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 very different. So this is the subject that I want to share with you. It is a life skill. It is, in a nutshell, stop trying to feel better, get better at feeling, like Michael Brown said, and just be with the physical sensations, with the discomfort, and realize that that's all that it is. It doesn't mean anything about what's happening outside. It doesn't mean that you have to do this or that. It just means that something from your past got triggered, and your body is your access point to start releasing the knots from that mental, emotional, physical muscle, so you have full range of motion again, and you can dance through life however you want. So I hope I was clear. There was a lot that I wanted to share here with you today. If you have any questions, do let me know. Like, comment, share, whatever you feel inspired. I think this is a really important thing for us to feel, especially in these times where we are being manipulated very deliberately through our mental bodies and through our emotional reactions, not responses, reactions. So the more that we start gaining mastery of this skill of just, yeah, it's okay, it's just bodily sensations, it's uncomfortable, but I know it's a wave and it's passing through, the more that we come back to our inner state of empowerment, sovereignty, and moving from our own core, centered in our power. So again, thank you for joining me live. Thank you, David, for joining me live. And I'll see you on the next video.